Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of Soulwise with me, Semele Sherry. And this is my new lunar month guidance for April 2025. It covers the lunar month beginning with the Aries new moon and partial solar eclipse, which happens on March the 29th at 10:47 a.m. and that's in the UK. And that goes through to April the 26th. So it does cover a few days of May, but for ease, I've called it guidance for April. Every new lunar month, I draw one card from the Thoth Tarot to spark my intuitive insight about the key energy to navigate by during the coming 4 weeks. I then take a quick look at the astrology. I'm calling this spiritual guidance for April 2025, Love Lights the Way. We are in an eclipse season, having had a partial lunar eclipse at the last new moon. This Aries new moon balances that out with a partial solar eclipse. They mark intense shifts of energy, usually bringing with them endings and new beginnings that impact the following months and even possibly years. This was made very clear by last month's guidance, so you might want to read or revisit that, as it will set the context for this month's reading too, and the link to that article will be in the description of this podcast or video wherever you're listening to this. Unusually, I drew a card that appeared only 3 months ago in January, the Four of Cups. It states emphatically that connection to your spiritual and higher consciousness is the key to navigating the month ahead. Find your emotional stability in this inner, felt and known state of peace, love, justice, mercy, through a connection to the divine source of all these qualities. You're going to need it, and it's the only way forward. Although the number 4 is stable, natural law tells us that life never stands still, and that in fact would be death. You can see that the water behind those cups on the card is already being stirred into choppiness. With the astrological correspondence of Moon in Cancer on this card, you're going to be in a time of flux over the next 4 weeks, which could seriously disturb your emotional state and mood. It's vital that you're not at the mercy of being tossed about and potentially overturned by the overpowering waves of feeling, both your own and those around you. I also feel this is a time when, particularly for those of us who are already imagining the new Earth, may feel impatient and dissatisfied with the apparent lack of progress. Change is not happening as fast as we may want, and the way ahead that feels so spiritually present is not practically or materially clear. It could be easy in this situation to become apathetic, disillusioned, and unappreciative of the tremendous but as yet unrealized potential of this time. Here are a few suggestions to prevent you from falling into that trap. Keep a gratitude journal. At the end or the beginning of every day, whichever works best for you, write at least 3 things you're grateful for in your life. It doesn't matter how small those blessings are. What matters is that gratitude not only raises your energetic vibration, it immediately connects you to the source of those blessings and opens your mind to the possibility of more. Find a daily practice you can commit to regularly. something that calms your mind, steadies your emotions, and regulates your nervous system. It can be as simple as a few minutes of deep breathing, a meditation practice you love, or mindful exercise such as yoga or Tai Chi, anything that slows you right down and brings you back into the present moment. Allow yourself space to daydream and imagine freely how you'd like your life and the world to look and feel. Now's not the time so much for action, that will come later when the way ahead becomes more clear. For now, let it be enough to tap into that well of inspiration and intuition on the inner planes. Look for the possibilities that are open to you and the people you can share them with. Appreciate the people and close relationships already in your life, the love, care, and security with which they surround you. It's easy to take for granted those who are always there day in and day out. Try looking at these loved ones with new eyes, as if you'd only just met them, or they're an enigma that you want to solve. Be curious. It's absolutely true that we can never know everything about anyone, so there's always something new to learn. Can you bless them with more love and attention at this time? Or do you need to set them free to evolve on their own for a while, away from your influence, as well-intentioned as that might be? Generally, this spiritual guidance of April 2025 speaks about the importance of abundant love as a necessary luxury. Don't underestimate the power and impact of that most important of emotions on everything. The Beatles were onto something when they sang "All You Need Is Love." It's easy to love and appreciate those who love you. What about those who are antagonistic or openly hostile towards you? The ones you dislike for their behaviour, their political views, or their lifestyle. What about the people society has branded unlovable or unacceptable? What about the many who have no family or friends and rarely feel warmth and affection of any sort? Doesn't everyone deserve to know love and belonging? Globally, I think this is something the world is being called to account for now, especially given the crazy goings-on at a political and international level. What if the intention behind all legislation and governance was to ensure that every member of humanity felt appreciated, secure in the provision for their basic needs, and part of a supportive network? I think we'd see a lot less, if any at all, crime, war, and poverty. Relationships of all kinds, particularly how healthy and balanced they are, definitely come under the spotlight this month. Happenings on a global scale will continue to be unstable, confusing, and often deceptive. Draw on that inner stability to help you make sense of it all and feel into the truth behind the spin. More and more, what you're presented with in the media is designed to evoke negative emotions that ensure you remain powerless in fear. Don't get triggered by it. And here's a quick look at the astrology. The eclipsed new moon in Aries determines a different direction for humanity. The aspect to Pluto in Aquarius suggests communities coming together to live according to their dreams, with nurturing and protecting a central concern. Intuition rather than logic points towards what to do and where to go. The days around the full moon in Libra on the 13th of April hold tremendous potency. Venus turns direct as all points to loving, caring responses, Hearts can open to the highest vision of what's possible, healing divisions. This gets empowered further when Mercury moves into Aries and Mars into Leo between the 16th and 18th. You can also expect some revelatory scandal in some groups or technological fields that help to challenge old accepted truths. All is uncertain and intensity grows during the last days of the waning moon. Take nothing for granted. So that's my guidance for the lunar month. Just to share a little bit of what's been happening with me, I've noticed an interesting pattern. I seem to begin to live in the energy I speak about in the following new moon reading that's coming up. It's almost as if I need to experience it in real-time action beforehand so I can explain it more clearly, perhaps. As you may remember, but it's quite okay if you don't, I'm in the middle of rehearsing a play for my local Amdram Society. Due to circumstances beyond our control, the assigned director had to pull out, and the writer stepped bravely into the breach with no previous acting or directing experience. As a result, I and another cast member, who do have plenty of experience, have been lending our support and knowledge. It's been an interesting challenge. Usually as an actor, I can indulge in focusing solely on developing my role, relying on the director to carry the bigger picture responsibility. This time, I've had to divide my attention between developing and encouraging the less experienced actors while casting a directorial eye over the scenes I'm not in. It's felt at times tiring, distracting, and yes, I admit frustrating, when I'd rather spend that time developing and refining my own character. And yet, I recognise it's absolutely necessary for the overall success and quality of the performance as a whole. That higher knowing wins over my ego every time. It reminded me of a quote from Alice Bailey about spiritual development, which was shared by a friend recently. Alice Bailey says, "The disciple must learn to think in terms of group good and not in terms of his own personal growth. He must become an expression of the group soul and merge his personal will in that of the group for the furthering of the larger purpose." It seems to me that, in a sense, this is the crossroads humanity is at right now, as the guidance that you just listened to does suggest. It's a necessary shift from purely individual interest to addressing the wider and inclusive needs of the whole, whether that's a family, a community, or a nation. Knowing that some compromise for the good of the whole delivers in actuality what's best for the individual too. Interconnectedness and interdependence is the way love does everything. So I hope that's been helpful and that you managed to find ways to support you in holding that inner space of love for yourself to hold your balance and love for others and concern for others as they too go through this upheaval that these changes are bringing. And know meanwhile that in an energy kind of way, we are a community too, those of you who listen to this, and we are supporting each other. We're not walking through this alone. I will always remind you of that. I like to remind myself of that. It's so helpful and so encouraging. So with that, I leave you now with my love and blessings and wishing you a evolutionary month ahead. Until next time, goodbye for now.